Name, thyroadrenal.
KCAA.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living
With Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Perry.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California with Universal Broadcasting Network. And then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my syndicated CNBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere where you get iHeartRadio. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So, no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words. No Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So the topics, the titles, the guests all reflect that. If you've missed any of Dr. John Gray, Layla Ali, daughter of Muhammad Ali, to Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, to Marianne Williamson, to Marianne from Gilligan's Island, all of those you can get on YouTube, my YouTube channel, also on iTunes, Stitcher, a number of other playlists. So there's plenty of ways to get splattered with hope and happiness from me. And as per usual, I'm starting out with shout outs to my excellent customer service encounters this week. Jasmine at Rossmore Car Wash found my wallet that I accidentally left there. I'm a very lucky girl. Josh at Nordstrom's. And a peace out to all the beautiful, like-minded, and love-hearted folks that I got to meet at the City Gala 2018 launch. Ryan Long is at it again. At this time, 8 different fabulous nonprofits that are going to be supported by the prestigious City Summit and Gala event after the Oscars next year, with some very heavy-hitting speakers that I'm not allowed to speak of, but they're all household names. Very excited. If you remember last year, 2017 event, I got to be on the red carpet and interview Quincy Jones, John Travolta, and the beautiful Halle Berry. So let's just say that's equal, if not bigger than that. As well, you've heard me say that, you know, what Ryan does is takes fundraising nonprofits and gives them the start. And so the ones that we have coming up this year are everything from healing the damage that is unintentionally and intentionally done, from rescuing kids from sex trade to training bullies to be bully busters, to encourage corporations to be more compassionate, to feed 1 billion with food and love, and to instill belief in themselves with youth who grew up in disbelief. So if you want, go to citygala.org. And you can already see those organizations. We are going to have them on this year before the actual event next year, and have Ryan on again. And my buddy, of course, Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees, who still refuses to go on the 21-day fast from complaining. But all my new friends, let's see, Greg Reed did a great job. He'll be emceeing again, as well as the PR with Cheryl Snap Connor, my bud, who drags me along to all these fabulous events and to cover. If you missed the fact that I got my first photo on Forbes magazine, my first photo credit when we got to interview Ed Snowden. I was part of that press team that Greg Reed spent 2 years getting him on to an interview that we got to have him web in from Russia. So if you want to see any of those things, make sure you go to my Facebook and give me the finger or a thumbs up at Dr. Marissa, and you'll be apprised of all of those events that are coming up. And it is my job to balance out all of the negative news, and I will continue to bring on guests and people who are doing good on the planet. And that's my challenge, Dr. Marissa's challenge to you. Last week I started it. I want this week, I've got some messages on people who said, you know, when they heard about this horrible thing on the news, they went and looked and searched for, you know, human interest stories happen all the time. It just doesn't have to be, you know, once a week or once in the morning on a show. It can be all the time. So we will turn the negative tide if we use the most powerful weapon we have in life, which is called choice, to affirm the good and give evidence to the well-being that is on the planet right now. And in that vein, I picked today's guest to help us with that. Chris Salem is an accomplished international keynote speaker, certified peak performance mindset trainer for corporations and entrepreneurs, life and business strategist, international best-selling author, radio show host, wellness advocate, partnering with corporate business leaders, sales professionals, and entrepreneurs to have sustainable success at the next level by resolving the root cause to mindset barriers. Chris shares experience from what he has worked successfully for him through understanding the root cause, and he's the originator of the term prospreneur, an individual whose health and wealth are in alignment in a way that leads to true prosperity. His book, Master Your Inner Critic, Resolve the Root Cause, Create Prosperity, addresses this and went international bestseller November of 2016. Without further ado, please welcome to the studio, live, broadcasting in from Connecticut, it's Chris Salem. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Dr. Marissa. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. I know this took some doing. We've been waiting to get you on for a little while.
Absolutely.
But it's worth the wait. So let's start with, I love the title of your book that went international bestseller. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Master the Inner Critic, that monkey brain, that chatter, what I call my committee in my head. You know, I have an auditor that tells me I'm doing something wrong all the time. A CFO is always worried about money, and a CEO that gives advice but doesn't take it. So how do you master that chatter that seems to get in our way?
Well, we all have this chatter. We have our positive inner critic, we have our negative inner critic, and they're constantly talking, more or less, a lot of times, the negative side, because the negative side of your inner critic operates on negative energy, and negative energy is a low vibrational energy that's easy to gravitate to. There's really no work required at that level. When you're looking at the positive side, with positive energy, that's vibrating at a higher level. So it takes some work. It takes some practice to learn how to vibrate at that level to be more in that type of mindset. Mm-hmm. So in terms of the chatter that goes on, these are things that are going on from things that have happened in the past, things that are projected in the future. And most individuals operate their lives in business simultaneously, going back from the past to the future, rarely being in the moment. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why for this chatter, and why things, you know, why you may listen to the negative side and how it dictates certain things that you do in your personal life and in business.
So give me a practical, for people who do identify and say, yeah, I have that going on, especially, you know, I teach meditation, and people will say all the time, I can't sit still because all these thoughts are going through my mind, and most of them are negative, as you've said. What's something practical they can do to stop the chatter? I know it's a deeper process, but just
absolutely. And I just want to let the listeners know that I can relate 150%. You know, just I want to reiterate that because I have ADHD. So when I went through this process, it was a struggle for somebody that couldn't sit still and focus on something for more than 10 seconds. So what I'm trying to say for people out there that either have self-induced ADD through the technology today, or actually are ADD or ADHD, that it is possible by being aware of learning to be in the moment. And that is through just a simple form of meditation. Okay. And that's just, you know, being in the moment, you know, don't worry about what thoughts are coming in, but just learning to be still to the best of your ability. It takes time for about 10 or 15 minutes. And it could be any type of meditation that aligns with what works best for the person. It could be walking meditation, it could be Tai Chi, it could be tapping, or just sitting in the chair with your eyes closed, focusing on your breath.
Yes.
And another technique would be to also take your moral inventory daily. So writing down how you feel and whatever comes to mind. Don't overanalyze it. Don't overthink it. Look at it as from a third-party perspective and just write it down. What comes to mind. It doesn't. And nothing is crazy. Just write it down, and in time, this is where it's going to start to eliminate that chatter that's going on.
Okay. Now, interesting. You said moral inventory. Does that mean you have to write down what you did wrong, or
Anything. It could be both. Anything you did wrong or good. I mean, so when I say moral inventory, it is just a 12-step term.
oh, okay,
But more or less, it does not have to equate to something that you did wrong. It could also be something that you did good.
so it's like
Again,
a
whatever
mind
comes to
inventory.
mind.
Okay, so a mind inventory.
Yeah, mind inventory.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I just got triggered there. I don't want to do a moral inventory. You say immoral like it's a bad thing. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. So just getting the chatter out through the hand onto the paper
And
will,
write it down.
will
You know,
help.
a lot of people with our phones now, we can type it into our phones.
I use Siri and talk it in. Yeah.
But I really seriously think it's the best is to take it by hand and write it down. There's something very powerful taking something out of the mind through your hand onto the paper that really helps you out in the long run. So
Perfect.
the old-fashioned way is best.
Okay, and thank you for mentioning Tai Chi. Chris was actually one of my students at
Oh, yeah.
CEO Space International
I
by
love
the
your
pool.
tape. I got the tape. I
Oh,
have my
you
wife
did?
doing it.
Yay! I'm so glad. I'm so glad she likes it then.
She does.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Remember that? Perfect. All right. So now let's go to root causes. So you have worked with many people who are very successful, business strategists, company entrepreneurs. What percent would you say have a damage, some kind of damage in their past?
Well, damage can be defined at various levels. There's going to be some people with very minor damage levels or very severe. So I would say 100%.
100%.
Nobody's immune to this. I mean,
Right.
even some of the the icons of the world, they're not immune to this either.
Right.
It's just that most of the world, except for the select few that get this process, operate their business and lives in the effect of the cause of the problem or challenge, usually unconscious to it. They're not even aware of what it is. They know something's not working, but they don't know what the problem or challenge is, or some do.
Right.
But this is a process that will allow you to become in tune with who you are so that you're operating from the solution rather than the effect of the cause of the problem.
So give me an example of someone you've worked with that it was like dramatic.
Well, dramatic, it's like, I'll give you an example. And actually, this is where I think what might resonate best with the listeners. Because a lot of times, if it's something, dramatic, it's somebody that knows there's something wrong. Maybe they were abused, they were physically abused or verbally abused, that type of thing. But I had a gentleman about 4 years ago that came to me at the time that wanted to release 50 pounds. He had a problem releasing the weight. He had tried every weight program there is. And that was why he came to me. But there was other issues within his career and his job, which he didn't bring up at the time. So we addressed both of them. And he claimed that he had a wonderful childhood. He had a mother and father. He had a sister and brother. It was like the Cleaver family from Leave It to Beaver. It was wonderful. Nothing wrong. However, when we did some deep soul searching and when he went through this process of the meditation and taking that mind inventory, is that we began to, I remember him coming out of nowhere saying that I can remember my mother telling me to finish my plate because kids in Africa were starving. And then he went on to ramble about something else. And I said, stop right there. I said, there's your root cause. It's your mom. And he said, well, I told you, my mother was great to me. We had a great relationship. So I knew we were onto something because his subconscious mind was talking to his conscious mind over a 2-month period. So I knew I just had to steer him a little bit to get him to really see it. So I asked him, was your mother slightly dominant? And he collected his thoughts for about 10 seconds. And it was like he was like a deer in the headlights. And then for the first time, he could see that, yes, his mother was slightly dominant, not in a bad way, but in a way that basically overprotected him, enabled him, never allowing him to develop the skills that he had. And so therefore, he was not finishing his plate once or twice, but 3 times to satisfy his mother unconsciously. And then he wondered why he never excelled in his career, because he was never able to really do anything on his own. He had everything done for him. So he just basically skirted through life, just doing the bare minimum. So until we were able to resolve this root cause, in this case, not something that was dramatic, but yet had a negative impact on the quality of his life, he wasn't able then to operate in the solution. And that's what we did. And he was able, 4 years later, to release the weight, which Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, and all these other programs could not do, because they manage the effect. They don't solve the problem, because it's a mindset thing first. And he was able to, climb ahead in his career, because for the first time he was able to bring out these skills that he always had, but never was able to use them because they had been suppressed for years. So
it's your theory then that anyone who is not successful in doing something that they know they should do. So he knows that there's something wrong. He really needs to lose the 50 pounds, and he can't do it. So if you're let's say that the food's a good one, or any other kind of addiction, you shouldn't drink, but you drink anyways. You shouldn't, the big thing now is sexual addiction, or you shouldn't shop or gamble. Let's say as simple as, you should leave for work 10 minutes earlier so you're not scrambling on the freeway trying to get to work on time. It's not rocket science, and yet you just don't do it. You're saying that the reason why you don't do it, that you continue to sabotage yourself, is because you haven't resolved the root cause.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, this is something that is unconscious to most people. A lot of people do the things they do as a result of managing the effect of the cause of the problem. And many times, 95% of the time, they're unconscious to it. They know on some level something's not working, but they're not sure why.
Right.
So we often will resort to short-term fixes, in this case, foods, alcohol, drugs, to medicate how they feel as a result of this unresolved root cause. So when you go through this process, it's a process of really becoming, aware, accepting, and truly forgiving. It's like releasing a weight that's been like weighing you down for whatever, how many years it's been since you were a child, up to the point when you address this, and to really adopt the right type of mindset and behaviors and habits and disciplines to live and operate in the solution. So it's a process, and it's not something that once you've mastered it, that it's all said and done.
It's not a button. Yeah.
It's not a button.
Yeah.
This is a lifelong thing. There's accountability, and this is a process that you'll have to work at for the rest of your life. That's how life is. Life in business, success overall, is a process. It's not a final destination.
Right. So there's a hard reset on your system, on your operating system, and then you have to constantly delete cookies, right? So it is the process of improvement, really. And it what's interesting now is I look at your work, and there's a lot of parallel with my work and a lot of the coaches out there. Is the beautiful thing is we're finally starting to integrate something that we've kept apart. So business is over here, your professional life is over here, your personal life is over here. Ne'er the two shall cross. Don't talk about this at work. Don't do this at home. All of that, and really understanding that it's all integrated. We are who we are. All of the life experiences do impact us at work, at home, at play, in our relationships, in well-being, and that in order to really improve, we have to not just pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, but do some digging.
Absolutely. And you nailed it on the head there when you talked about how people separate things. They separate their personal lives from business. But in reality, they work together. They're integrated together. So if one is off, it's going to end up affecting the other. Yes, you could have success in business and your personal life can be in disarray. However, if you're going to have sustainability in that business, and if your personal life is not doing well, your business eventually will unravel and some level.
Yeah.
So it's really important that they are addressed as one, because they do work together in terms of the sustainability that you may be looking for whatever, how you define that to be in terms of success.
Right, right. If you've just tuned in, you are listening to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. And today's guest is Chris Salem, who's hailing here from Connecticut due to the beautiful wonders of technology. And he's sharing with us practical tools and techniques and an understanding of why we get stuck, why we sabotage ourselves, that all of our success is at risk or is being sort of leveled if we don't deal with the root causes. So in your experience with people, is there some root causes that seem to be more prevalent than others? Like is abuse, childhood abuse, one of those that because I know the statistic that I keep saying is 7 out of 10 of us, according to Psychology Today, are impacted by dysfunctional homes. 7 out of 10. Oprah, my honorable moniker nemesis, is actually nemesis is negative. I was told the other day. I've been using it as a positive thing. So my role model says it's 8 out of 10. So that means the majority of us are walking around with root causes that if we don't get to therapy, or if we get to therapy and don't deal with them and continue to, address it over and over again for years and years and years, we are hurting ourselves. So is it abuse that seems to be a root cause that people have to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, that majority of the time it is the case, but that example that I gave you, here was an individual who had a wonderful upbringing,
Yeah.
2 loving parents.
Yeah.
However, sometimes, like I said, it could be very subtle. It could be something that it appears that the parents are really helping you and they're doing all the right things for you, but in hindsight, it might stifle your development. In this case, enablement and doing everything for somebody doesn't help them long term. It doesn't allow them to grow and figure things out on their own.
So it doesn't have to be abuse. It can be
anything. It doesn't have to be abuse. That's where the thing is, where a lot of times people, because usually with abuse, many times people are going to know what it is because they know they have this. They suppress it, or they find a way to dance around it. They medicate from it because they don't want to face it, because it's a long-term process. They want it to go away quickly. That's why there's all these short-term fixes to manage the effect of the problem. That's why antidepressants are widespread and all these things. But what I try to show people is, with the right type of therapist or coach or mentor, whatever you want to call it, that if that person can show you a process how to solve your own problem, because you all have the capability of doing it on your own. There is no solution in a box or something outside that's going to solve your problem. Nothing. A medication is not going to do that, or anything. But there are components that will help. But the end result is you. You're the owner of your problem, and you also have the ability to solve your problem.
You create
and that's
your future.
what people have to understand. And it's a process. There's no time limit. It can take a short period of time for some people, and it could take a long period of time. There's no set time as to how to go about operating in the solution by resolving the root cause. It depends on the individual.
Right. So let's talk about one of the most I hear about it all the time that sabotage you is procrastination. So how do you deal with procrastination when that is what kind of root causes sort of lead to that? And by the way, I've always wanted to be a procrastinator, but I never got around to it.
Well, that's a good thing.
Thank you, Stephen Wright. So talk to me about procrastination, because I know a lot of my listeners, myself included, when I don't feel like doing something, I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I have found many of my clients to be perfectionism, that they go through this cycle called perfectionism, procrastination, and then paralysis. So that's like this horrible, cycle or downward spiral that you go through, and the dangers of perfectionism. And I was blessed to have Steve Farber actually interview me on this. And I'm doing a little commercial. If you haven't seen it yet, go to KCAA.com magazine and look up Steve Farber or Dr. Marissa Pay, and I give you some tips on how to do that, which are probably exactly yours. I didn't steal from you, and I know there is, one wisdom where we're all, trying to help others together. But I want to hear from you what you help people deal with procrastination.
Well, what I try to let people know is that procrastination is a byproduct of how you feel. So in often cases, it's tied to a negative emotion, and the negative emotion is going to be the cause from the root cause, whatever that may be for that individual. So the negative emotions that are associated with procrastination are anger, shame, guilt, jealousy, envy, or any combination thereof.
Mm-hmm.
So procrastination, again, is like how you feel about yourself. So if somebody has low self-confidence or has a lower self-image of themselves, it's easy to procrastinate. It's easy to put things off because they fear what could happen. They fear success on some level because they don't feel good enough. Mm-hmm. So the thing about procrastination is to be aware of what those triggers are. And when you learn how to be in the moment and practice daily meditation, taking again that mind inventory, you begin to bring the mindset from the future, because that's where anxiety exists, and anxiety produces procrastination. When you're in the moment, it allows you to become more clear. You begin to see things, from a bigger perspective in terms of the big picture, and you're able then to plan things that are more attainable each day. Mm-hmm. So you have a clearer picture on that. So it doesn't make things, whatever you're striving for, to be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So that will allow you to be more productive and efficient each day to get to where you want to be. So it offsets the procrastination. So, mm-hmm. So again, it's a combination of tying it back to the negative emotion, to the root cause, and from there, planning a specific game plan of smaller attainable goals, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever the time frame may be, to get them where they want to be. Mm-hmm. And that will help people to offset or eliminate procrastination.
Right. Great.
And that's the formula that I've used successfully with my clients.
Beautiful. And so you're worth it, right? I mean, you're worth it to feel better about what you're doing, feel better, be more successful. I know that I meet a lot of really successful people who are not happy. Do you have that as well? Do you meet that?
Absolutely. I mean, again, people that appear to be very successful or famous, I mean, they're not immune to this. I mean, just God, look around what happened to Chris Cornell from Soundgarden a few weeks ago. I mean, he committed suicide. I mean, mm-hmm. it's sad. Mm-hmm. But again, nobody is immune to this. Mm-hmm. And just because somebody has this success, in their lives, whether it be, money related or whatever the case may be, if they haven't addressed this particular topic, they're not going to live in peace and harmony. There's always going to be these devils inside that mm-hmm. are pulling at you, trying to take you out. Mm-hmm. And when I tell people, if they're looking to really get up to the next level, whether to have peace and harmony in their personal lives, with their relationships, with themselves, within their business, to take their business to another level, you can't keep putting a Band-Aid on it. You mm-hmm. have to address the problem at the root cause.
Right,
it's
right.
the only way. There's
right.
no other way. Otherwise, you're just going to get basically the same results time and time again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you say this so convincingly. It sounds like you've gone through this yourself. You actually do practice what you preach.
Yes, I went through this process over 19 years ago. And at the time when I went through this, I was spiritually, emotionally, and physically bankrupt. Mm-hmm. I didn't know who I was, why I did what I did. I just knew that I was angry, bitter, and had resentments towards a lot of different people. Mm. And I was always the victim. And while I appeared to have success on the outside, because I was always a go-getter, I was in sales, making a lot of money at that time of my life. I was in my late 20s, but I was broken inside. Mm. And I knew the pace that I was going, I wasn't going to live another 5 years. So the only way to have that sustainable success was to truly find my purpose and who I was and my why, by resolving the root cause. So I basically took this process that I adopted from Eastern meditation and through some of the steps of a 12-step program, made it into my own to heal myself and then show others to do the same.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you for doing that, because I know you're helping a lot of people. It is time for us to take a little break to thank the sponsors of today's show. So we'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in and peace out. Get ready for summer and celebrate creativity at the Timeless Treasures Boutique this week. Free parking, admission, coffee, and access to over 100 artisans who will delight your senses with unique and affordable arts and crafts for your home or gifting. Come to Huntington Beach, 6905 Warner Avenue at Golden West for live music and even a painting party. And a free gift for the first 50 each day if you mention Dr. Marissa. For more, go to timelesstreasuresboutiques.com. Looking to overcome plateaus and obstacles in your business and personal life? Get unblocked with Chris Salem, a certified peak performance mindset coach and international best-selling author. Chris Salem will help you achieve sustainable success at the next level by resolving the root cause to those barriers. Contact Coach Chris today at chris@christophersalem.com and start living in your solution. And we are back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Garage Studios in Hollywood, California with Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my CNBC News Radio channel KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, 102.3, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And today's guest is Chris Salem, who is a certified mindset coach as well as an international best-selling author of the book Mastering Your Inner Critic. And we have been, if you've just tuned in, you can hear the replay on Thursday. But if you've just tuned in, we're actually going to do something fun right now. And I said, can I be your client? And he said, absolutely. So we're going to do a little treatment on me. So go ahead.
Right.
I'm your client.
This is the first live on radio doing this. This is great.
This
is
is
the first
great
for everything, right?
Yep.
So what I would ask you, Dr. Marissa, is, what I always ask every client is when they come in is like, what are you trying to accomplish? What is the goal? Why you're here? There's usually, when people come to see me, there may be something in their personal life or their business or a combination of both that they're not where they want to be. And everybody's got something. It could be health related, with weight or trying to lose weight or have more energy. It could be maybe I need some pointers with relationships, or my business has been stuck at a certain level. So when I have a gauge of what that is, we're able to kind of then start from there and begin to work to find what the root cause is of what's holding you back.
Okay. So I have 3 to choose from.
It can be anything. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something else.
Yeah. I actually was thinking, there's nothing. I'm so grateful and I love my life. But I am releasing weight. And for those of you who are on my Facebook Feel Good and Look Good Naked group will know that I've been on this trek since January 1st. I've lost 16 pounds. I think I am a little plateauy right now. I'd like to release more, probably more. And so that's one area. The second area is I'm still a lone ranger. I do a lot of different things, and I've tried to work in teams or, with assistants, and it just takes too long to teach, and I end up sort of, it's okay, I'll do it. And then I'm still doing everything. So that's the second. And the third, and the reason why I'm telling you all 3, because I have a feeling that they're connected. And then the third is, I haven't had a relationship for a while. I seem to not have time for them. And then, or haven't met someone who makes me want to drop everything and have that relationship. So, if I were to say negative affirmations, I would say, the ones who are really super successful are not available, and the ones who are, coming after me are not successful enough. And I that sounds horrible to say, but you're my coach right now, and as usual, I'm living my life out loud. So go for it.
So what I would say is, I mean, you kind of talked about success being that in order to be successful, you usually you're not going to have time for those people that are not on the same level as you in terms of what you view success to be. Because again, success can mean different things for different people.
Mm-hmm.
Success can mean working 12 hours a day, having
so I'll define success for you. It's not necessarily someone who has a boatload or a Titanic full of cash, although it would be great because then I love money to invest in all of the different avenues that I get to play in. I'd love to expand the show. I'd love to, broadcasting company, blah, 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 publishing company. So I have Oprah-like aspirations. So in order to be with someone who has similar or the ability to generate or contribute or fund or invest or even strategize for, so that level of they've had that, they've done that. Okay, so that's what I mean by success. At the same time, be balanced and love and appreciate and is kind and generous and driven and generous and kind. So kind of the male version of me.
Okay.
Okay.
So like you said, balance. And balance is really key to, if you look at success overall, if you were to, do a poll across many different types of people, balance will usually be the universal response in terms of having a balance of money, being able to do the things that serve your purpose in terms of helping others, adding value, taking care of one's wellness, being around family and so forth, and getting plenty of rest, that type of thing. So those are all things. Now, in your case, what I would say is we're looking at a relationship, or in this case, where you've hit a plateau with your weight. I would ask you for each one, if you look at with your eating program, how do you feel right now, like in terms of where you are with your weight? Do you feel is it tied to something like a negative emotion? What comes up where you are at right now in terms of when you eat? Like, how do you feel? You might feel good when you're eating, but I mean, how do you feel about the afterwards?
I feel great until I see myself naked in the mirror. And then I'm comparing myself to, when I modeled and how I looked then and how, everything looked before I had the babies and everything that was before I had my hip replacement and, hearing those voices from being called fat, ugly, and clumsy as a child, and then my husband, telling people I was obese. And I have been working very, 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 very disciplined in trying to let go of all of those voices and really knowing that that's not who I am, but it's still obviously still there, and that is a root cause. Now, what more can I do?
So what I would say is, like, when you look at, you had certain things, like you had a husband, you were bullied about your weight. So when you look at all these things that have happened, you first got to be able to become comfortable at where you're at right now. We all reach a certain age where we're not going to have the body that we had when we were 20, 30. So it's not like having a beach body, but really being comfortable the way we feel inside. And that we have lost weight, but we're not necessarily going to be, like I said, like a beach body. So what I would say is, when you were a child, can you go think back to anything that would trigger these certain things that happened to you when you were bullied by other kids, or when your husband would say certain things? Those could be the causes, one of many causes. But if we were to spend some time going back deeper, where do you think that might have stemmed from? Was it from a father? Was it from a mother? Was it a combination of both? Was it a sibling? Something that ties back to childhood that would have triggered certain things where you always had to keep this perfect body at the time, and then at some point it kind of it went another way that you didn't want it to go.
Well,
So that's what I would ask you.
my mom definitely was well-meaning. Like, she really didn't want me to be 200 pounds as a kid, and so she would kick me under the table or pinch my hand if I was reaching for food. Now, I don't know if that's still a symptom or if that's a root cause. So I would do what in Chinese it's called tou tou ci, where I would sneak down in the middle, after everybody's sleeping, and go to the fridge and just stuff my face. So that was as a child. So the sneaking, the trying to comfort myself with food. Part of it is my brat saying, "Screw you, I'm going to eat anyways." So that's what came up when you asked me to look back. Is that still a symptom?
That's still a symptom. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say that 9 out of 10 times the root cause is a parent or parents, or sometimes it could be like a father, and then let's say the mother enabled the father to do certain things, or vice versa, or some type of authoritative figure. Could have been a grandparent, that type of thing. And again, it can be very subtle. So some of the things, like, again, we probably, we're not going to have much time in the show to go really deep, but what I would
things
say
for me to
is,
think about.
with your mother, there might be certain things that she did that she thought was helping you, because there was always good intent.
Right.
But because children learn by example, they don't want to be told how, when, why to do things. So it was your way of kind of like, you were angry, and I wouldn't say that you were overtly angry at your mother, but you were passively angered.
Well, no, I was overtly.
Oh, you were overtly? Okay. Like I said, I don't have all the D, but I would say that the anger, and what anger does, it's a way to, we all have to anger is the strongest negative vibrational energy there is. And a lot of times people that are angry become alcoholics, drug addicts, sex addicts. A lot of addicts can be tied back to anger. So in this case, food is also, just another substance, it's no different. So it's a way to kind of control things. So your way of controlling your mother from not controlling you. And it's a way to kind of like mask how she made you feel as a result of, whatever she was doing by pinching you or telling you what to do and how to do it and so forth. And this is something that, as we get older, we don't sometimes recognize, but it's there. It's in the subconscious mind, and it plays out in everything we do. So why you might have cravings for certain foods, knowing that I shouldn't do it, but I want to do it. And this is what has to be addressed before you could adopt the right types of habits, behaviors, and disciplines that will get you to where you want to be. So even though you might love something that's not good for you, you're going to refrain from it for the time being because you want to get to your goal. And knowing in time, with moderation, you can have it once in a while, but you're not going to have it 3-4 times a week like you used to. So in order to adopt the better habits and behaviors and disciplines, we have to address that root cause. So you'd have to go deeper with your mother, and maybe your father enabled it. I don't know, but all these things could play a part in it, and this could lead up to why you were bullied, and why your husband at the time might have made comments that kind of reinforced certain things that you were holding on to from your childhood with your mother. And these were things that I did the same thing. I would choose bosses, business associates, girlfriends that ended up being just like my father, just to reinforce the anger, so I'd be disappointed and feel the way I did. But you have to take ownership of it.
Right.
So that's the key. What I try to tell people is you got to be aware, take ownership, and let's dig deep to confirm that's the root cause. And now we have to work on actually letting go and forgiving in order to then start working towards the solution.
So if it's not one thing, it's your mother again.
And this could tie into your relationships too. I mean, again, it could be, your mom too. We'd have to dig deeper. But again, you have to look at, some people, don't want to be in a relationship. Maybe they're really comfortable with themselves. They enjoy their career and they love doing what they're doing. However, if they are feeling that they're missing something on some level, they don't feel complete in that level. And you got to really look at, why are you not creating the time to meet somebody? Why maybe your standards are too high. Maybe, you have to look at, maybe there's something within me that's doing this not to attract that, the right type of man into my life. And sometimes you may think that you want something, what you told me, but in reality, it may not be the case. So we have to really, again, we have to go back and find out where this all
So you
back.
can't fix me in 15 minutes on the
No,
air.
I can't
No?
fix it. It's a process. It's a process. But the head start would be, I would think, with your mom, with the weight. I think this could have played a part with the bullying during your your early teen years or whenever it was.
Yeah.
And I know with my case, I had similar situations, and I can tie this back to my father not having that connection that gave me confidence. I didn't have the confidence, and I had a poor self-image of myself, even though I projected a positive self-image, and people could relate to that.
Right.
But meanwhile, I didn't have that. It wasn't inside of me, and it was because of that detachment of not having that when I was a young boy growing up. I didn't have that security.
Well, thank you. I think that many listeners who are tuned in can relate to either or both of our stories, knowing that there is a solution. There's absolutely, Chris, you can find Chris at christophersalem.com. Is it?
ChristopherSalem.com, correct.
ChristopherSalem.com at his website. You can sign up. You have a couple events coming up as well on there. He's now just launched his own radio show. He's going in direct competition with me. I'm just kidding. He's on Voice. No, we're augmenting each other. So if you'd like to work with a man, there's Chris. If you'd like to work with a woman, there's me. But there's so many ways to get in contact with him. He obviously is there for you to stop sabotaging yourself, find the root cause, and live your best life ever. Thank you so much, Chris. Wait, before we go, what is the Asian Oprah giveaway?
There's a lot of things I could give away, but what I'd like to offer the listeners is I have a chapter that I've written in Jack Canfield's next book coming out July 13th, Mastering the Art of Success, and I'd be happy to provide the chapter in that book for the listeners.
Great. So just contact me on drmarissa.tv, and in the contact put "want Chris," and then I'll get you a copy of that chapter for you. All right. So that's the Asian Oprah giveaway for today. Chris, I always end by asking my guests, what are you grateful for? Who would you like to thank that made you possible?
Well, I'm grateful for our Creator, the universe. We're all meant to be here for a reason. We all have a purpose, and it's up to us to define and find what that purpose is. We all have this capability to be who we are, and you shouldn't be afraid to be who you are. And you're offering a gift to other people when you are able to be who you are. You serve your purpose, and that adds values, empowers others to do the same. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my wellness, grateful for my family, my loving wife, my wonderful son, and great people like yourself, Dr. Marissa, that I get to surround myself daily and just be part of this game of life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris Salem.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're at the end of the show. Welcome to my balance bar, where you get to step up and balance with me. Remember, it's day 6 on the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa. And the balance tip today is when I am feeling irritable, sometimes with a reason, sometimes without, especially during menopause, I look for the good in the situation, the person, and the location. It is very difficult to complain while smiling, complimenting, or giggling. I choose to put on my life jacket with a silver lining. It's warmer and more fashionable than a straitjacket. And by the way, the men's counterpart to menopause is IMS, Irritable Man Syndrome. It's not too late to join the fast. Go to forbalance.org and make sure you get the companion app that's at both stores. Balance on the Beach, my next workshop is July 15th, and it will be in the Venice Beach area. We keep going from LA County to Orange County. It's from 10 to 1. Please register, drmarissa.tv. August 1st to 5th, I will be keynoting as a new faculty at the CEO Space International Conference. You can sign up at welcome.ceospaceinternational.com/Dr. Marissa. That's where I met Chris Salem and a host of other people. It's kind of like Mastermind on steroids, because it's a family that we want to make sure everyone is successful. So next week, well, remember Stand By Me, the movie The Goonies, the movie Gremlins, and The Lost Boys? Yes, it is true. My special guest will be the actor and singer Corey Feldman. So I got to interview him on the steps of Disney Hall at the City Gala event earlier this year, and he would like to come on and talk about his singing tour and what he's doing. So I know there's a lot of people who love Corey. When I posted it on my YouTube, there was a lot of compliments and hearing that he's well, and now he's singing on tour. So please do tune in next week for another scintillating episode of Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
AAA Roofing by Jean reminds parents that our children should never be out of luck, hope, or guidance. But for many troubled youth, the first step towards drugs and crime is having nothing better to do. Take your kids to a park, movie, restaurant, or any activity today. This reminder from AAA Roofing by Jean. For all your roofing needs, including new construction, re-roof, retrofit, tenant improvement, maintenance, leak detection, and emergency services, call 951-233-5530 or visit AAARoofingbyGean.com.
Your application looks great, but I'm not seeing any marketing experience.
The ad said mechanic needed.
Right, but I need a mechanic/marketing wizard. What do you know about reputation management?
Nothing.
Search engine optimization?
Is that under the hood?
Let Dex Media be your marketing department. We can help with any digital marketing solution from search to social. Contact Dex